Let's turn briefly to the Ryan plan, which is out. It gets a lot of attention. Again, this is something that we won't see pass, but I got an email asking about why block grants are so bad in this context. What Ryan essentially wants to do is provide block grants for states and say you can divvy out this money in any way you want. Roll in all of the federal anti-poverty programs, food stamps, I guess welfare payments, to the extent that there are any these days. And the problem with block grants is twofold. One is we have anti-poverty programs in this country that are what is known as counter-cyclical. When things go bad, they expand, not because they have increased or lowered the threshold for eligibility, but rather more people become eligible. Food stamps is a perfect example of this. Food stamps applicants and recipients increased in the wake of the 2008 crisis, not because the government said, okay, we are dropping the threshold, or rather raising the threshold, dropping the threshold of eligibility. It wasn't because of that. It wasn't because if you're making X number of dollars and you didn't qualify 5 years ago, we're going to lower it so that you do qualify. It was because people lost jobs, they lost money, they had a greater need. And this program automatically steps in and provides. They're called automatic stabilizers. We have many of those. Unemployment insurance. When people need it, it automatically kicks in. When you block grant things to the states, and it's a finite, fixed amount of money, obviously you don't have the ability to deal with that. So at the time when the economy needs it most, when people need it most, is when the states would have to cut back. The other thing about block grants is that it's much harder to shrink payments politically. Federal government gives a big chunk of money to the states. The states can use it in any way they want. It will necessarily hurt the least politically powerful in that state. When they run into problems, the distance between those people who would have to raise taxes and have the ability to earmark those funds back to the states, i.e. federal lawmakers, they no longer can do it. So block grants are the first step in what is known the devolution of programs. It's the way to cut programs for the most needy. And then, of course, there's that aspect of Paul Ryan's plan where, and there are some good proposals in there, maybe around the earned income tax credit. But the central tenet of Paul Ryan's plan is it would have low-income Americans sign contracts in order to remain eligible for social safety net benefits, such as food stamps. And it would include benchmarks such as finding a job, enrolling in employment training, or even meeting new acquaintances outside of your circle of poverty. There would be a timeline in which individuals are contractually obligated to meet those benchmarks, bonuses for meeting benchmarks early, and sanctions for breaking the terms of the contract. In other words, you have to sign a contract promising to do what you obviously could not do in the first place. It, again, blames poor people for being poor. it blames people for living in poverty. It's saying that you have a character flaw. And the way we're going to encourage you to get over your character flaw is to sign a contract promising that you won't have this character flaw anymore, that you're going to work yourself out of it, that you're going to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which, of course, a phrase first coined to mock people like Paul Ryan. Because if you've ever had a boot that has straps, you know that it is physically impossible to do that. Pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Do I really have to walk through that with people? So I just wanted to give you the basic breakdown of the Paul Ryan plan. It will not become law, but these things, that's the way these things sort of get into the ether and the body politic